Seeing goblins, appreciating goblins, succubus with goblins.
And we don't want no problems. Okay, you're a goon. What's a goon?
Alrighty. What's going on, guys? We are back for another episode of Podgoblins.
Bring us in, Alex Jones.
Yeah, baby. So, right off the bat, you guys might notice that the title of this might not be what you were expecting. So, I know last week we talked about doing a werewolf episode, but Nick brought up a good point. Yeah. This is a sex episode. You're welcome.
No, you said but. And then I said,
but okay. So we talked about doing a werewolf episode, but we were trying to do that originally to align with the Wolfman's release, and that just kind of flopped. Nobody gave a fuck about that movie. And then we had some things going on, and we had to record a little bit later than we wanted. So we're here now, and we decided let's talk about something more exciting that we love and we know you guys are going to love. So if you can see this, we're going to be talking about the Chucky movies today.
We're going to be talking about Scream, guys. Scream 7.
Yeah. He didn't dress for the job. Sorry.
So look right behind my shoulder, mofo. Right over my shoulder. I made sure to turn the camera a little bit more tonight, so Chucky was front and center the whole time.
I got this right here. A little bit of set deck.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Nick. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, you know, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Not really. You know, it's just a day. Busy week for sure. Busy weekend. Just put my kid to sleep. You know, a little blue juice euthanasia. No, he's in bed. And nice. I'm right in here, and I'm like, let's get to it. Excited about all the Scream 7 stuff we heard last week. I'm actually really excited. Don't care what anybody says. Nobody can take that away from me. You know, things are all right. All things considered, I think they're all right. How you doing? How's school treating you? Have you ended up in the shower yet with your PE coach getting spanked? Or no? Well, he got spanked in the shower by himself, but Jesse saw it. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Not this semester. That was last semester. But it's been going pretty good. Classes are fun. Taking a couple of screenwriting classes. That's always fun. I started wrestling training back up this past week. Like
wrestling?
WWE. Yeah. Doing some pro wrestling training. That's been fun, you know. And I wrestle with other dudes. But
yeah, sweaty, getting a unitard, you know, just kind of slide around each other. Yeah, for sure. You
know, big boy.
That's right.
So yeah, it's been good. I also saw the Scream news, and I'm excited with you. I think people are a bit too negative, and I saw your rant about how people are canceling this movie because of Melissa Barrera, and like anybody who works in this movie is a piece of shit. It's so corny.
Yeah. No, it's funny, Jaden. I cut out so much of that rant when I was editing last night. There was moments where I was like, I cannot keep that in there. That is a little too far. I was letting some of my emotions show through a little bit because I don't know what it is. I guess Elon, you know, boosts some of my content sometimes on X or Twitter or whatever, because if I post something like horror related a lot of the time, it'll usually do pretty well. I'll get a lot of traction on it. And because of that, I get a lot of randos in my mentions talking shit about Scream and this movie and the boycott and all that dumb stuff. And it's gotten to a point where, yeah, it's annoying. So I kind of let my frustration show a little bit in that rant video, but I don't apologize for it. I meant every word that I said. And honestly, I think that if you're going to sit out from this movie and punish everyone involved, like I think you're a fucking cornball. And two, I just think it's your loss personally. You know, Jaden, I don't want to go off this track, but let me just give you something that I believe is somewhat analogous to this situation, and then we can get going.
All right.
If your issue is Spyglass, and a moral thing for you. Like morally, you're like, I can't give this company money, although they're only the financier. That whatever, it's not their franchise, but whatever. If that is your issue, should we go back and if we own Halloween movies, should we burn them? Like from Halloween,
Yeah.
H2O forward because of Harvey? Should we do
Mhm.
that? Because I mean, you gave Weinstein money.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, and I was thinking about that earlier, and I'm like, you could just do this. There'd be 100 examples that you could come up with of like, oh wow, I own this movie. Maybe I shouldn't own this movie. Oh, I went and saw this movie. Maybe I shouldn't have seen it. I own a T-shirt of this movie, and this director ended up being a piece of shit. Should I burn that shirt? You know what I mean? And then when you
Yeah,
actually
for sure.
get into thinking about that, you're like, wow, dude, like I'm a dumbass. And like again, I said in my rant, I don't think they'll actually come to that conclusion because I feel like that takes brain cells. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
No,
It's like,
for
all
sure.
right, I'm gonna go throw away my Rob Zombie's Halloween movies. I have to. I can't,
Yeah.
I can't support an unjust cause. Whatever.
It's the same people that'll like buy from Amazon and buy iPhones and buy shit that are being made in worse conditions than, what happened here. Like their morals are very skewed. Like if you were really like, I'm not gonna buy, I'm not gonna watch anything that's like, fucked up, you wouldn't be doing anything. I don't know. Like that's just the world. Like it is what it is. Like, but
Yeah. Well,
anywho,
again, I've bitched many, many times, even as someone that is very socially liberal, my ideology, socially, I believe in all that, let people be who they are, whatever. It's your life. You're an adult. You can do whatever the hell you want, say whatever you want, free country, First Amendment, all that bullshit. But
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, even with that, cancel culture is just stupid. And it's
Ugh.
gotten to a point where it's just like, how can we end this? Like,
Yeah.
what's going to end this shit? I'm so tired of it. So whatever, old man screaming at a cloud. I'm done. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right. So let's get into the topic today. So we're gonna be talking about the Child's Play movies and the Chucky franchise as a whole. Right off the bat, I gotta say Christian's wrong. I've heard him say many times that Chucky is like a lower tier horror villain. I want you to find one person that has never heard of Chucky the Killer Doll. I guarantee you can't find them. He's an
David,
icon. He's as big as like Freddy. Like movie quality aside, whatever. Like I
devil's
think he's
advocate, though, he is an icon. I totally agree.
yeah.
But I think Christian's more looking at it through a lens of like the Mount Rushmore. And I don't think you put Chucky on there because you can only fit a few on there. And I personally would
Yeah.
not say Chucky is bigger than probably Myers, Jason, Freddy, and Ghostface. I'd say
But I think
those
he's
four.
five though.
Oh yeah,
Like I don't
probably.
you can't name
Probably.
anybody else bigger than him. Like he's bigger than Leatherface for sure. Or like
Yeah, 100.
Pinhead or whatever the fuck.
And that
Like I
breaks
think
my heart.
he's
Mm.
I know. Poor Pinhead. So
But yeah.
I love this franchise. It's probably my second favorite after Halloween. I have so much nostalgia for most of these movies. In the later ones, and I'm assuming we'll talk about the TV show, there's still love for most of that too. So yeah, you want to just kick off?
Yeah, how do you want to do it exactly? We didn't really talk beforehand about how we
No,
were
yeah.
going to tackle this.
So I say that we go one by one, starting from the beginning, and then ending, movie wise with the remake, and then maybe we can talk about the show after, and then let's do our individual rankings, see how they compare.
All right. Well, then why don't you start us off then with good old CP. Oh man, these days saying CP. CP, the original CP.
Yeah, man.
That was even worse. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
So the original Child's Play. I toss up in my head all the time when I think about these movies, whether this one or two is my favorite, and we'll get to two. But the original, like, I genuinely think it's like a perfect horror film. It's up there with some of my all-time favorites. And I think so this was the first horror film I've ever saw. I was 4 years old, which is crazy, but my teen sister said, you're gonna watch this. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. And then I watched Child's Play, and I was terrified for life. Like, I still will look in my closet sometimes. I'm like, is that little motherfucker in there? Like, I know I'm like in my 20s and I shouldn't, but
you won't find him in there, but you find yourself in there all the time. You still haven't come out.
all right, buddy. That's another episode. But but no, man, I don't know. Like, Chucky always scared me, but I also like loved him like as a kid. Like, I was obsessed with this franchise, especially those first two movies. And this first one, like, some people I've heard find it boring now. I never saw that. I think it's action packed, like almost all the way through. The effects are amazing. Every performance is great. And like Andy, like for being like a 5-year-old, like that's like one of the greatest, maybe the greatest kid performance like in a horror film. And he's always been my favorite character in the franchise. Yeah, man, I love this movie. It's like 5 stars for me. It might be my favorite. I'll have to see by the end.
Okay, so first of all, let me just say, guys, that Jaden's over here talking about. Well, anyway, you know, So, sorry, I had to do the stroke it one because we were talking about the closet.
You're
So
good.
I love Child's Play as well. I remember that, like, again, this is another one of those movies that my mom, like, she loved because she saw it in theaters in its original run. So naturally, we watched it. And I've said this a million times. My mom's line was always like boobies. As long as a movie didn't have boobies, again, she didn't care if somebody got disemboweled. We could watch it. So like, I watched Child's Play at a really young age too, and I had this weird relationship with Chucky because I was always like kind of freaked out because everybody has like toys and dolls and stuff, especially when they're a kid. So it's like you're almost like, oh, that's a creepy concept. But then at the same time, even as a kid, I was like, but I could take that little fucker. He's a doll. Like he's just a doll, bro. Like, what's he bench? Like 15 pounds? If that, like I could punt him. So like, so I had this weird relationship with it, but I've always loved the original movie. And I think that the original movie is like a classic monster movie in a lot of ways, where you don't see your monster until the third act of the movie. And I like the elements of like using the camera as Chucky and then seeing like feet and seeing things moved or misplaced or different or whatever. And you're just kind of like, but you're waiting for that like actual reveal, that actualization of Chucky on screen. So in that way, it's a classic monster movie. And I love the cast in this movie. I'm going to give you some pushback though. I don't think Alex Vincent's all that good in this movie. And we'll get to the sequel, but I also don't hold it against him at all because he was like 4 and 5 while filming this movie. So I was like, I literally think about like my son shooting a movie. Like, I mean, the fact that Alex was good enough, especially at his age. So I've never like shat on his performance. It's a great movie. It really, really is. And you know, that poster, I got it right over here. I mean, that original poster is just iconic, bro, with like Chucky's eyes over the freaking like apartment building and stuff. Like, I've always loved this movie, but it's never been my favorite Child's Play movie. It's never been my favorite Child's Play movie. So with that, Jaden's over here waiting because he wants to talk about the next one. He's over here going like,
all right, baby. Child's Play 2. Child's Play 2. I got the shirt. I got the little Funko Pop that's branded Child's Play 2. This is like the perfect example of a sequel that just elevates everything, and there's everything better in the sequel. Like, I do miss Karen. I think she's a great character, but you know, we get the sister relationship with Kyle. The kills are better. Chucky's all out there, and he's fucking fantastic in this movie. Like, there's so many iconic scenes. I mean, like in the classroom, like in the factory, like it's such good shit. In Child's Play 2, it's another 5-star film for me, like the original, but like they're kind of different vibes. The first one's a lot more of a mystery. I think that it's creepier. Like when Chucky comes alive in that original one, that's fucking terrifying. But in this one, it's a little bit more fun in games, but there is still like, I mean, him walking to kill the teacher with that evil face is still like, that gave me nightmares. yeah, man, I don't know. Like this one, I think it's my favorite. I think so. It's
You don't feel like you're being pressured by me?
no. It's literally always been. Every time I think about them, they just keep turning. But two just does so much more with the concept, and I like seeing Chucky more on screen when he's not a fucking total goofball. Like he's still threatening, and we'll get to the ones where he is more goofy, and I think they mostly suck. But yeah, dude.
No, we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah, so Child's Play 2 is really, really interesting for me because I think even the first time I saw this movie, I was like, that's what I want. And that's not to take anything away from Child's Play, as I said, and as you said too. It's very much like a mystery movie, a thriller in a lot of ways, like a crime movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like it's very different. And this one is them. Okay, we've revealed the monster in the last movie. By the end of it, you saw him in full force, screaming at Karen. So like, let's let it all hang out now. Like, let's let it all hang out and give people what they want. And what they wanted was Chucky. And I think this is the movie that walks the line the best of all the Child's Play movies, of giving you enough Chucky, but also not making him a joke. He's menacing in this movie. You're talking about the scene with Miss Kettlewell. Dude, terrifying.
Yep.
Nightmare fuel. His face it's nightmare fuel. Christian has said that his idea of hell is the toy factory in the final act of the movie. He's like, if there's a hell, that's hell. Because like it is freaky, and Chucky just keeps coming, bro. He doesn't stop. And he's ruthless in this movie. And I remember when I was a kid, like I was living vicariously through Andy trying to climb up that like conveyor belt thing with Chucky behind him. And I was like, no, like it still to this day, like it kind of just makes my palms sweaty. And I'm like, oh God, my knees are weak. Like there's vomit on my sweater already. Like it's mom's spaghetti. And I hate spaghetti. So like, yeah, it's just, there's something about this movie. I just think it walks the line perfectly. I think Alex Vincent is 100 times better in this movie too. I actually would say this is a genuinely good acting performance for a child. And like my barometer for that is, Daniel Harris in the Halloween movies, Miko Hughes in Pet Sematary, even as such a small kid, really good performance. This is up there. Alex Vincent's great in this movie. I'm just going to say, I think this is his best acting performance, period, like in his life.
Yeah.
He didn't get better with age. Let's just, spoiler alert. So yeah, dude, Child's Play 2, it is easily my favorite. And I think it is the cream of the friggin' crop in this franchise. And that's it, man.
Real quick, I'm kind of curious on your opinion on this. How do you feel about the foster parents?
Oh, total assholes. Horrible to Andy. The dad seems like at any moment he's ready to just beat Andy's ass. And the mom, the entire movie basically seems like, why do we have this little fucker? Like, it's just, I hate them. So like when they die, oh my God. And my favorite line in the entire Child's Play franchise is, has it hanging, Phil? It's literally the best. Yeah, no, they suck. And they both deserve to die. Just terrible people. Terrible. Just because you're adopting doesn't mean you're good people. Okay. People do it all the time. People adopt for sadistic reasons. So yeah, terrible people.
I was going to say something different. So I like the mom. I always related to her. And I thought like,
dude, she's a bitch too. She's 100% a bitch to Andy.
You think? I don't know, dude. Like her reading to him and like when she's like, I don't know, I kind of like the kid. Like, I don't know. I felt like she always had a bit of a kinship. And like their relationship was growing in the movie, but
I think she's a hater and a half. And that's just, but the dad's worse. The dad literally seems like he's like, I'm going to go drink a bottle of Jack and come back here and beat your ass. And like, he
doesn't give a fuck about them. All right. Let's talk about one that might be, after another that's going to be coming up soon. It's one of the more divisive ones in the franchise, but we're going to be talking about Child's Play 3. So I love this movie, and I've always had a love for this movie, and I think it's because I watched 1, 2, and 3 growing up like so much. So I kind of have that nostalgia for it, but every time I watch it now that I'm an adult, I just think of a lost potential, because I kind of feel like we take such a giant gap of time in between like Andy in this military camp and then Andy as a kid. And I kind of feel like that was a mistake.
Gay Leatherface.
I say right foot creep, oh, walking with that heater. Walk, look around, stay.
What the fuck?
Shout out Baldy Jack. That's like the best thing you've made of Christian ever.
That is amazing. Yeah, no, like I like the military camp setting, unlike I feel like a lot of people. I think it's interesting. I do think they get a little bit too tropey with like military movies. Like at some points it feels like almost a parody of those, like FMJ or whatever. But I don't know. I like Tyler. I like De Silva. I like the I can't remember his name. Sheldon, I think the nerd. Like I like him a lot. I think the characters are good. They're all like pretty fleshed out. You like all of them, or at least care about them. The carnival is fucking sick. But yeah, man, like that. It's like a 3.5, 4 for me, because there's always that like I kind of wish we got those in between years. Like, and I didn't really want to say goodbye to Alex Vincent. Like, nothing wrong with the guy we got. He's fine, but like it didn't feel like Andy to me. But yeah, I mean, I still love it for, you know, nostalgia reasons, and I think it's not as bad as people say. Even it's still a good horror movie, a good Chucky movie.
Yeah, I'm there with you in a lot of what you said. I will say that I think that Child's Play 3 was divisive for a while. I think people are now starting to like really just come around and accept that it's solid. Like, I think it was a shock to the system in a lot of ways. You know, obviously you don't have Andy anymore, or Alex Vincent, I mean, and it was jarring to go from like little kid Andy to like, oh, now he's a teenager, young adult, and he's in military school. It was like, oh wow, tonal shift. So there's a lot about the movie that's definitely different, and does stand out. And sometimes it's not for the better. But I've always really liked Child's Play 3. I don't like Tyler. I think Tyler sucks. And I think he's an idiot too. I think he's genuinely stupid. And that's why I don't like him. He is so dumb. And it's like, bro, you don't even like, okay, whatever. So, yeah, but all that is to say that like they utilize the military school aspect in a lot of really cool ways. I love when he replaces all the blanks with real bullets. Like that is awesome.
So cool.
Such a great idea. Like I love the opening of this movie, like in the penthouse in the big ass like skyscraper and with all the toys and like that's really cool. And I personally also loved the scene with the garbage truck driver where he's like, help! And he thinks it's a little kid. Yeah, I mean, but I think it is really solid. And I honestly never thought, I mean, now, you know, looking at Alex Vincent's body of work, I'm like, oh, it might be for the best that we didn't get him as a teenager. But for the longest time, I was like, man, I kind of wanted Alex Vincent. Like it didn't feel the same.
No.
But it's a damn solid movie. It really, really is. Like you said, 3.5, 4-star kind of movie. Not the heights. It doesn't reach the heights of the first and second movie, but like what does, you know what I mean? Like that's almost not really fair to be like, oh, well, it's not as good as two of the greater horror movies of that decade. Like, you know what I mean? But it's damn good. It's damn good.
For sure. All right, let's move on to the next one. Definitely maybe the most interesting tonal shift I've ever seen in a horror franchise.
I know where we're at.
I'm about to bust.
We're at 1998's Bride of Chucky. So Bride of Chucky, I always kind of, you know, when I was growing up, I watched Bride and Seed like back to back a lot of the times, and I always kind of linked them together because they are kind of similar. Like they're, you know, there's a lot from Seed that's from Bride of Chucky, and I think I disliked Bride for that reason. I was kind of like, damn, this is where Chucky isn't scary anymore, and he's like too much of a goofball. But going back and watching this movie, like it's so much fucking fun. Like I don't care that the main characters kind of suck. Chucky and Tiffany, like this is their show, and Tiffany is like such a breath of fresh air in this franchise. Like I think Jennifer Tilly is hilarious. She's always great in everything she's in, but she's so fucking good.
She's fun to look at.
Yeah, I love I love the scene with the little gimp dude trying to pass off the murder as his own, and then he gets his fucking ring taken out of his chin or his lip or whatever.
I also love the nod to like Bride of Frankenstein and stuff. I just there's a lot about that that's great.
Yeah, and this is how you do a post Scream horror sequel.
And Katherine Heigl. Yeah. She's in the movie.
Man.
She does not give a very good performance, but she's in the movie.
Yeah, she is. She definitely is. Yeah. As time goes on, I love this movie more and more. It's a lot of fun. I don't think it reaches the heights of the first two, but like you said, nothing really does. But I think it's probably the third best in this franchise. You know, like there's a lot of shit that comes after it. I think this is the last truly great Chucky film. But yeah.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that, but we'll get there when we get there.
Okay.
Bride of Chucky. Talk about nostalgia, bro. That movie was really popping off right around my formative years as a young child. So I have very vivid memories of this movie playing on TV. And I actually think I remember seeing trailers or TV spots for this movie. Like it was out there, man. It really was. I mean, what can I say? I think that just like with Child's Play 2, a little less than Child's Play 2, it almost walks that line perfectly. It's a little too jokey at times, but never to the point where it takes me out of the movie. We'll get there later. But Bride of Chucky it's that almost perfect marriage. Jennifer Tilly's a great addition to the series. I love her and Tiffany's dynamic, her and Chucky's dynamic. There's just a lot to love about this movie. The soundtrack friggin' rules. Many nods to other like iconic horror properties like Frankenstein, Pinhead, and Hellraiser. Like there's a lot to love about this movie. There's really bad CGI where someone gets hit by a semi truck, genuinely awful. But it was the early days of CGI, so we just excuse it. And then I love the sequence with the mirror over the bed in the like honeymoon suite. But then I feel like they go a little too far when they do the doll sex like that. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, they almost walked the line perfectly, but like you could bitch about little things about any movie. Bride of Chucky's like a 4.5 for me. Again, not as high as the first two, but I definitely think it's an improvement over Child's Play 3. And I think it was a really, really cool way to bring Chucky back. The only thing I really don't like about Bride of Chucky is the performances. I really don't like the cast in this movie. I don't think they add anything to this movie, and I personally don't care. They try this like Bonnie and Clyde thing, and it's like, you guys are so like paper thin, and like I don't care. There's not only are they like paper thin, there's no depth to them. I just think the performances are overall just not great. So but I don't care because everything else about the movie is awesome. So yeah,
man. You know, they kind of remind me of like the characters from H2O, where they're just super forgettable teens in this post Scream.
Same era. Yep, same era. It was just the thing then. Yeah, I don't know what it is. And I can make excuses for H2O too, because I feel like other things are done really well. So it's like, okay, you know, I've got some of this shit, whatever. I don't really care. That was kind of the times. But you know what? I feel like we're filibustering here, Jaden. I feel like we're filibustering because we don't want to get to what's next, because getting to what's next will make, where's it at? I got to find the right one for this one, guys. I really do, because this is just, here we go. So anytime I think about this movie, anytime I think about it, I'm sure Jaden, I just inside, I'm like,
unfortunately, we have to talk about Seed of Chucky next. Now, we briefly touched upon this in a previous episode. I get that people are trying to reappraise this movie, and there are cool aspects, like with the LGBT inclusion, and I like that, but that does not make this movie great. This movie is a fucking piece of shit. It's been a piece of shit since 2004 when it came out, since 2003 or whatever, since they were making it. This movie is fucking ass. There is barely anything good about this movie. This horrible CGI. Chucky looks weird as shit, and he never looks good again. It's way too comedic. Jennifer Tilly like degraded in acting somehow for this movie, and I don't know if it was on purpose or not. And Don Mancini just blew his load with this one. He did too much. It's Seed of Chucky, dog. But yeah, man, I hate this movie. I've always hated it. It's a half star for me. It's one of my least favorite horror movies of all time, and it almost killed the franchise. So
Okay, well, he said it beat. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. That video clip you guys just saw. That's just all right. So look, I'm gonna try to be fair here, and be honest with myself and with the viewers. When I was a teenager, I actually had a soft spot for this movie. Like, I don't think I would have defended it, but like, I didn't detest it. Like, I was like, oh man, yeah, that movie's kind of a train wreck, but I don't know. Like, I just have fun with it. And then as the years have gone on, anytime I've revisited it, I've just been like, no, it's bad. This movie's ass. So look, as Jaden said, there are things about this movie that are commendable. And one of them being that, yeah, Don Mancini was way ahead of the times with some of the representation in this movie. And that's cool. I dig that. I think it challenged a lot of people's worldview. And I think that's always cool. Whether you agree or disagree, I think when a movie or a show or a book, whatever it is, can make you do that, make you think, make you look at things a little bit differently, possibly, that's a good thing. Because life's about learning and experiences, right? But yeah, man, the way he does it though is just bad. It's not specifically that, but like the way he handles the movie. There's no subtlety in this movie. Everything is over the top for over the topness' sake. It is borderline like just cringy at times. Like it gets to a point where it's like, I don't know. Sometimes if you're watching it, and we did for the podcast probably about 2 years ago, me and Christian did, and we didn't finish it. We turned it off with about 20 minutes left, and it was because like we just couldn't get behind it, man. Like it's just like you said, and you're right to say that people recently have been really trying to reappraise this movie.
yeah,
And I'm sorry. I feel like there are some objective truths in life. And
Yeah.
like one of the objective truths about Seed of Chucky both things can be true. Hey, I have a really good time with this movie. I think it's fun. I think it's silly. It's goofy. It's over the top, but it's just not very good. And I think both things about Seed of Chucky are true. And so
Yeah.
you can love the movie for reasons, but I mean, when people are trying to be like, "Oh, you just don't get it," I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I get it. I think Don Mancini got his head got way too big with this movie, just to the point where it's like we got John Waters taking pictures of Chucky beating off. Like it,
Yeah, dude.
I mean, there's just a lot. But I know there's a lot of fans of this movie, especially these, nowadays, again, with the reappraisal of it. So I don't want to shit on anybody for that. Like, that's your opinion. And I respect that. I genuinely think this movie is a turd. Like I don't know how else to phrase it. I honestly may never watch this movie again. I might not ever watch Seed of Chucky again. And I don't think I'd be missing much. I mean, you got this whole weird side plot with Redman. He can't act for dick either. You've got this
Yeah, that was awful.
the whole weird plot with the limo driver and being in love with Jennifer Tilly, and it's so corny, and it's just I don't know, man. It's just I don't like any of it. And then like Glenn's not even a problem. Like Glenn's freaky looking. Like I like it. It's kind of effective. I don't think Glenn's the problem in this movie. I think everything else is. I mean, it's just I don't know, dude. Not a fan.
No. I will say though, one of the greatest scenes in film history is when he's running away and it's like the worst digital effect you've ever fucking seen.
Uh,
Love
yeah,
that.
it is. It is.
When he's running towards a truck or whatever the fuck, or running away from it. It's
Oh wait, I also love the fact that he pisses his pants all the time. That's something about this
yeah,
movie that I actually do like. That he's a little pee pants.
yeah. Nick
And I
Nick.
do like I do like Chucky. Like he's like, I don't know. I kind of like the fact that he's like they want to be good parents or whatever. Like it's kind of funny.
No, that's
like,
funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's stuff about the movie that is like so stupid. It's like fun. But yeah, it's just mostly a turd sandwich.
Yeah.
So then before we go to the next movie, Jaden, we just have to say where the franchise was after this. This movie flopped critically and commercially. Fans hated it. Critics hated it. Box office returns were not there. And right after Don Mancini got his big break to direct a Child's Play movie, he was already on the hot seat because people were like, that shit sucked. So the good guy, the one that could, the little engine that could was all of a sudden now relegated to obscurity. Nobody gave a shit anymore. Chucky was basically dead. Goes to show you how one really bad movie, even if you like it, one movie that is perceived to be really bad can derail a franchise. And, when most people got done watching Seed of Chucky, they were just like,
what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
all right,
Now,
floor's yours.
We talked about how this franchise was dead, and it's kind of shitty that like for most of my childhood, I grew up in the 2000s. I didn't get to see Chucky, because of that movie. So I kind of hold that against it too. However, in 2013, there's one that's not a turd sandwich, and the franchise came back with Curse of Chucky. Now, when this movie first came out, I was already kind of bummed because it wasn't going to theaters. Like, I was like, oh man, Chucky's like going direct to DVD or whatever. Like, that's kind of shitty. Like, it's Chucky. But after I saw it, I was like, you can tell it's low budget, but there's a lot of charm to this movie, and they really tried. And it was cool to see this movie go back to horror. It wasn't zany comedy bullshit that was in Seed of Chucky. They actually try to tell this like almost like gothic mystery story in this like house that's super dark and creepy, like, and then you get even though it doesn't make any fucking sense, you get more of the background with Charles Lee Ray, and that's kind of cool. And I hate the way that Chucky looks in this movie, and I don't like the way he looks ever again, but I can kind of put that aside because there's some really cool scenes, like when they're all eating the soup and there's rat poison in it. That's fucking great. A lot of the scenes with him and Mika, who is probably after Jennifer Tilly, like the best addition to this franchise. She's amazing.
You have your mother's eyes.
Yeah, dude. He's a little fucking creep in this. There's some lesbian action. That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting addition to the franchise. I don't know, man. It's Curse of Chucky is a solid movie. I don't love it as much as those first four, and I think its budget kind of hampers it a bit for me. Like, I do wish Chucky looked better. I wish the movie in general looked better, but still, even with all that, they did what they could, and it's still a good time. So.
All right, so let me inject some Viagra into that flaccid review. Curse of Chucky is my third favorite Child's Play movie. I would put this a smidge below the original Child's Play. I don't just think this movie's good. I think this movie freaking rules for a number of reasons. Look, Don Mancini had his feet held to the fire after the perception of Seed of Chucky, and rightfully so. And it took years for Chucky to come back because I think anybody was scared to give this guy the reins again. And that's why I went to the small screen. I remember waiting for the day that it was coming out on VOD, and I rented it. And as soon as it came out, I paid for it and I watched it. And I just remember being like, holy shit, Child's Play is back to what made Child's Play so good in the first place. Mm-hmm. A few one-liners here and there from Chucky, but insanely toned down. It went back to the first movie in a lot of ways, where it's like waiting till the third act of the movie to really see your monster like in full close up doing shit.
Yeah.
There's some budgetary constraints with this movie, and one of them is the look of Chucky, 100%. Now, I will say that after all the makeup and plastic and all that fake shit falls off, it looks better. It does look better, but yeah, this is when the look really started to deteriorate for Chucky. But I love this movie. I mean, I think that this movie is old school Child's Play. It is Child's Play done right. I think it's a shame that it did not go to theaters, but I understand why. And Nika, oh my God, Fiona Dourif she's incredible in this movie. Like, I'm not trying to oversell it, but I think she's great. And I think that since she came into the series, she's been great. Even in things that I don't like, she's been great.
Yeah.
And it's got to be so cool, working opposite your dad trying to kill you. Like, that's just, I don't know. That's cool. So look, Curse of Chucky, as much as I dumped on Don for the last movie, I'll give him flowers with this one. He took the criticisms to heart. He reeled it way back, and he delivered an old school Child's Play movie. And I dig the shit out of this movie.
All right, man. So unfortunately, he kind of fell back into his ways with the next one.
Oh, he did.
Up next is Cult of Chucky. So I have a weird relationship with this movie. When I first saw it, I didn't hate it. I actually thought it was okay. Then over the years, I was like, man, this movie's fucking stupid. And then I watched it recently, and I kind of felt the same way. I feel like it's middle of the road, even though it is so oddball and strange. There's a lot of weird shit in this movie. I think for the first part of it, it's not that bad. Like when it's just in the mental hospital and before they do all the clones and all the bullshit, like it's okay. It's not super exciting, but it's not terrible either. But once he starts duplicating himself, I mean, like, that's really when it goes off the rails for me. Like, them all laughing together and joking is like, it is funny. Like, I think Don Mancini is funny, but I don't necessarily want that with Chucky. I prefer my Chucky scary. I prefer him serious and trying to kill people. And he can have the one-liners, but, like, he just went too much back into comedy, man. And we haven't had a film within this canon since. And I know we're supposedly getting one, but if it's just more Cult of Chucky, Seed of Chucky type shit, like, I'll see it, but I'm not really looking forward to it. So this one's probably like a 2.5 for me. Like, I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's kind of just whatever.
Cult of Chucky. Let me tell you guys something. Your boy was riding a high. I was riding a high after Curse, and I was like, Chucky is back. This one's going to Netflix, but I'm not at all worried about that because this one went to, straight to VOD and it was great. I was like, I'm back. Chucky's back. I'm back. I'm back on board. And I watched it the night it dropped on Netflix, and I was severely disappointed. And I'll just get this out of the way first. There's some cool stuff. I like the short-haired Chucky. He's funny. I think the jokes that they crack at times are funny. I like the kill with the I don't remember her name, but the Asian lady when she's like on the bed and he uses like the tank of ether or whatever. Like I like there's a lot of cool moments in this movie. As a movie as a whole, though, I got to be honest, this is just a smidge above Seed of Chucky. And sometimes I actually even I ponder whether it's the worst. But today I'm going to go with Seed being the worst simply just because like I have no desire. I have no desire to watch either one. I'll be honest. But the thing about Cult of Chucky that pisses me off is that it breaks literally all of the established rules of the franchise. And that might not matter to some people, but it kind of mattered to me because it's like, oh, well, what was the point of, the 6 movies prior then? If you're just going to throw like all that shit up, why couldn't Chucky have done this shit before? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Furthermore, Alex Vincent, truly god awful performance. He is atrocious in this movie. This was, they relegate Nika to basically a secondary character for all intents and purposes, and I hate that too. Just yeah, man, I don't like the movie at all, and here I am on the Don Mancini seesaw. It would seem, Seed of Chucky, butthole, curse. Oh hey, Cult of Chucky, butthole, and you're kind of like. At this point in his tenure, he was 1 for 3. So I'm like, why are we letting this guy handle the franchise? And before anybody goes, oh, well, he's the creator. No, he's not. No, he's not. And don't let Don Mancini tell you that he is. I want you to read his original script treatment for Child's Play. A lot of what you got, yes, a lot of what you got had to do with Tom Holland and the other writers that were a part of that project, not Don Mancini. Look, man, and I'm still there today, and I know we still have more to talk about, but I'm firmly in the camp of I think it's time to let somebody else shepherd the franchise. I don't think Don can help himself personally. So yeah, but that was my thoughts after seeing Cult of Chucky, man. I was really, really bummed. I thought that, hey, if this one does really well on Netflix, I mean, we could be looking at finally it coming back to theaters, like in canon too, like, Brad Dourif's Chucky. That didn't happen. So yeah.
No. I also think like this one started the trend that follows in the show where it just dilutes Chucky. Like the original Chucky, that Chucky doesn't matter at all after this movie. Like I don't even know if he exists within the TV show, but once you start adding these little clones and shit and they're all kind of aping each other, it's like, I don't know. It kind of makes your villain look a little bit like a bitch because it's like, well, why am I scared of Chucky? I just killed like 8 of the other ones. It's I don't fuck with that.
He's totally stripped the mystique of Chucky away. Yeah. And he only continued to do it. It wasn't like a one-off where it was like, okay, maybe we should reel it back. No, it was like, oh, we're gonna go full bore, and it's like,
yeah. But yeah, 2 years later. We did get a theatrical Chucky movie, but it's not with this lineage. We got the remake in 2019. I actually just watched this before recording. So when this movie first came out, I was so excited because Chucky was back on the big screen. I went to 1, 2, 3 movies and I said, fuck it. I can't wait. I'm going to watch this cam recording of this. It looks like ass, but I need to see this movie. And then I saw it the week after. And when I first saw it, I wasn't impressed. I thought the movie was okay. There's funny elements. Whatever. Chucky looks like shit. He looks like he's from Team America. But when I watched it today, I kind of loved it. I kind of loved it, man. I don't know. I this is my 3rd, 4th time watching it. I think a lot of the humor works. I think this version of Chucky is so different where you actually care about him and he's kind of cute. Like when you see Chucky holding his hand and he's like mimicking him, it's kind of cute. But Mark Hamill does a great performance. I mean, like he's not Brad Dourif, but this is the best you could have gotten. I don't really buy the relationship with Aubrey Plaza and Andy. I forget. I think is she also Karen? They just keep the names? Okay, yeah. Karen and Andy in this, I don't believe it. Like, it's just kind of a weird dynamic. Like, she doesn't really feel like his mom to me. Like, it definitely felt more like, and they even say in the movie, like, oh, is that your hot older sister? And it's like, it kind of feels like that. She doesn't really feel like a mom. The Detective Mike in this, I think he's great. And the kills are shockingly good, like, for a 2019 movie. But I'd probably give it like a 3.5, I think. I think it's actually up there in the franchise, to be honest.
Yeah, so for me, being an OG, an OG Chucky guy, being a guy, ever since I was a kid, I love Child's Play. I shouldn't have been somebody that was at the forefront of being okay with a remake, right? No, it's bastardizing the continuing story that Don Mancini is doing. And there was this whole campaign online by Don Mancini and his lackeys of trying to be like, oh, cancel this movie. But and look, guys, I'm a little rinky-dink YouTube channel. I don't care what I say about Don Mancini. I've said this on the podcast before. This ain't new. If he ever gets wind of it, though, I'd love to come on, buddy. Love to talk to you about some of this stuff because there's stuff I love you did and there's stuff I hate you did. And I felt like it was really, really just kind of gross that they went after this movie so hard. When it was MGM's fault, you know, they owned the rights to the first movie, but it was the only one they owned the rights to. So they were going to make a remake of it because there was a sale and they were like, what properties do we have that we could bring back? And Child's Play was one of them. And with the advent of like smart technology and stuff being very prescient in today's times, I thought it was a really cool idea. Like I was just like, yeah, this is really cool. It's not trying to do what the original movie did. So like, I don't know, like maybe shut the fuck up and like give it a chance before you just shit all over it. Like, cause it's not trying to mimic the first movie, but you know, those people didn't give it a chance and the movie didn't, you know, it didn't really blow any doors off at the box office or anything, but it got decent reviews. And even the people that might have been skeptical that went around to watching it, and shout out to my buddy Mark, Saturn Video. He's one of them as an OG Chucky guy. He was like, you know what? I finally watched it and like, it's solid. Like I don't get all the hate and apprehension for it. And I'll just let anybody know it's manufactured. It's bullshit. You can always smell that a mile away when it's, and this was a case of that. Look, I've always liked this movie since the first time I saw it. I saw it in theaters with my family, my mom too. And nobody liked it except for me. And I was like, I thought that was kind of cool, but like, all right, whatever. I guess I'm fucking stupid. Mark Hamill being the voice of Chucky, love it. Love the Buddy song. And the fact that he sang it himself, I love that too. There's some genuinely funny moments in this movie, and like you said, there's actually some like genuinely touching moments. As you know, lame as that might sound, like there's actually moments where you do feel bad for Chucky. Like you actually do. And you do feel bad for Andy. You know, that kid clearly has seen a revolving door of men in his mom's life. And I can relate to that. So like that hit home for me, and doesn't have a lot of friends and kind of just wants to fit in. And I really, really dug that about the movie. There's a lot to like about this movie. The design of Chucky is not one of them though. Yeah, it's an ass design. I don't know why it was so bad. But yeah, I got to be honest with y'all. I don't really have complaints. And like you said, and I love the way you phrased this, and I'm going to mimic that. The kills are shockingly good. I did not expect from a remake of Child's Play with kind of a small budget to have, especially when you saw the doll, you were like, oh my God, this is going to be so low budget. Dude, these kills are good. Like they're really good, and they're mean and they're bloody. And like, I don't care who you are, bro. At the end, when you got bears like eating people and like there's like, what is there, like a helicopter that has like razor blades on the like the propeller and shit, like and the freaking smart car, like there's so much. I think they really, really utilized they utilized the technology really well in this movie. It's a shame that it didn't do better at the box office, because I genuinely think it is a damn good movie and I wanted to see a sequel to it. And you know, what's the director's name? Lars Klevberg. Is it Lars Klevberg?
I think so. Yeah.
I think that's his name. I could be totally wrong, but it's Lars something. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, because I don't want to misspeak here, but I think it's Lars Klevberg.
Yeah,
and
I get it.
Yeah, he wanted to do a sequel, and he talked about ideas that they had, like, you know, for a sequel and stuff. And I'm still like butthurt that that's not going to happen. Like, part of the reason it's not going to happen, I mean, it's twofold. It's one, because the movie, it made its budget back. I think it made like 2.5 times its budget, so it probably turned a small profit. It wasn't a flop, but like nobody cared about it, you know, 2 weeks after it came out. And then furthermore, you had that whole campaign of the OG Chucky fans that still wanted to see Don Mancini continue it, that I think just really gave them cold feet. And they were like, we're just not gonna mess with this. Like, we'll wait till whatever Don is doing runs its course, which we're about to get into that. But yeah, dude, Child's Play 2019, it's actually solid as shit. And I agree, which is ironic. Shit's not solid. But well, it depends on what you're, how much fiber. Anyway, I do agree with you though. It doesn't really seem like his mom, but I actually think that's kind of like good for today's times, because that's actually a thing that gets talked about a lot now, that like these parents nowadays are way too much like their kids' friends and not their kids' parents. And so I actually kind of felt like that was topical. And also, I mean, it was age appropriate. She was in her 30s when they filmed this. Like, she could have been his mom, but just Aubrey Plaza just looks so damn good, and she, it is what it is. But yeah, dude, really, really solid movie, and real bummer that it won't continue.
Yeah, man, this movie, it walks so Megan can run. Megan has a lot of shit that's ripped off from this movie, and you can kind of tell. And now that that's out, if there were any hopes of this getting a sequel, there's not now, because we got Megan. I
don't want Megan, though. You can keep Megan and give me Chucky.
I would rather this too, but it is what it is. This has one of the best,
keep that bitch.
This is one of the best modern horror theme songs too. I was listening to, and I was watching my 4K. It's so fucking good, dude. Bear McCreary, I think, is the guy who made it.
Bear McCreary. Shout out Bear McCreary. The Walking Dead, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Dude's got a stellar resume. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're moving on to not films anymore. In 2021 or 2022, I believe they started the Chucky TV show.
Shut the fuck up! Do you know what shut the fuck up mean?
So I think it's fair to treat these as like the movies before they go. Each season is almost like a film. They kind of all have their own individual stories. So we can talk about Chucky season 1 right now. I first saw this when it was coming out, and I didn't have high hopes because of what we were talking about with Don Mancini. I knew he was making it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be fucking terrible. And there's a lot of cringy humor, and I think in the first season, the kids aren't the best actors, and they're not really...
You don't say.
I don't think their characters are that great either, but I kind of find charm to this show. It's the last TV show I remember being like, oh shit, I need to see that episode next week. And I think it's because I watched the pilot, and I'm like, this is better than Cult of Chucky. This is better than Seed of Chucky. I'd say it's not as good as Curse, but it's a positive for the Chucky franchise. And I think they did pretty good for the first season. It's not amazing. It's not anything that's going to blow your dick off, but it's okay.
Dang it.
I know. But
it's Don Mancini. Why wouldn't it blow my dick off?
What do you think, dude? Did you fuck with this first season?
So, like you, Brad Dourif coming back, Fiona Dourif coming back. I was like, I'm mildly intrigued enough. It's Chucky. I'm going to watch it. Then I remember seeing the trailer, and I was like, oh, this really does look like television. I was like, I don't know. Watched the first season, and I actually, for a little while there, a couple weeks on my channel, I was covering the first season as it was releasing, and I stopped covering it. One, because nobody was watching it, the videos, and two, because I just didn't feel, actually, largely the reason was because I just didn't feel drawn to it. I watched the full season, and I walked away from it thinking it was fine. There's stuff I liked, there's stuff I didn't like. I liked Nika. I liked Chucky in it. I liked the fact that they kept Chucky very much like Chucky in a lot of ways, still foul-mouthed, still cracking jokes. There was enough of that there. I personally thought that the acting was pretty bad by the kids, and I'm just going to be honest there. I did not care for them at all. And again, tearing away the mystique of Chucky, this did it as well. And it only continued more with this show. But season 1 is the least the offender of it. You know, it's just like it does it, but it got a lot worse as the show went on. I thought it was okay. You know, I walked away from it going like, okay, so we're back on the seesaw. Shit, good, shit, not shit. I wouldn't say good, but like it's starting to go up again. And at this point, Jaden, I can tell you, this was the moment in real time where I was like, this is Don Mancini. This is just what it's going to be. This is the Don Mancini experience. Bad, good, bad, good. Like it's just going to do this because, and I have my own theory for that. And the theory I have for that is because when Don makes one that, you know, mildly gets good word of mouth and praise and whatnot, I think he gets a big head. So with the next one, he's like, people liked it. Now I can really go hard. And then people are like, no. And he's like, okay, I got to go back a little bit. Oh, they liked it again. Now it's time for me to go hard. Like, and I just feel like that's how the guy operates. But yeah, this movie is, or this show, this season 1, it's fine. It is better than I would have ever anticipated. I'll give it that. Like going into it,
for sure.
I was like, oh, buddy, this is probably going to be asshole. And it wasn't. So I guess, you know, good for them. But Jaden, it didn't last.
So Nick's going to hate me for what I'm about to say. But
well, then I already know you're going to say that you preferred season 2 to season 1. So, you know.
Yeah, I do. I like Chucky season 2. I genuinely like it. So I think that sort of humor that he does with, you know, this on and off where it's serious and then it's humorous and blah, blah, blah. I think this is the best he's ever gotten it. I think Chucky season 2 does have some truly funny moments. And I actually do like the setting of like the boarding school. I think the actors do a better job in this season. Like I thought the switch with, I can't remember her name, but the blonde girl, like the switch with her turning good made no fucking sense. But once they're actually all together in this season, like it's actually like they're a good little trio.
Is her name Lexi?
Lexi. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's, you know, it was cool to see Fiona Dourif back. And even though her role is kind of goofy, like she does a great job with it. I don't know, man. Chucky season 2, like I did fuck with it, and I like that they were bringing, the show got fucking canceled, but they were bringing all these characters from every single movie into the same universe for the first time ever, and I think that's kind of cool, and I can commend them for that. But you don't feel the same way, do you, Nick?
No, so I'll tell you this. A couple points you made I do think are accurate. The acting is way better in season 2. I mean, I remember watching season 2 and being like, okay, like this is like these kids have kind of learned how to act. I'm buying into it a little bit more. And then you've still got some great Chucky moments. You got some good kills. So like there was stuff that was better than season 1. But the stuff that was worse, I feel like was just more offensive for me. I feel like they were getting a little too overindulgent with bringing in so many characters and trying to tie up loose ends that it was like, whoa, okay, like we got way too much going on here for one season of television. Like I don't know if we can answer all these questions. And then after that, it was like this season really went hard into, again, demystifying Chucky. To the point where you've got like an entire Chucky army. And it's just, what the fuck? There was, I had fun with the last episode. If I remember correctly, the season finale was like Christmas. And like I had fun with that. And I remember thinking like, you know what, this had some fun moments, but I felt like it was a step down from season 1. I genuinely just overall didn't like it because, again, my issue that I have with Don Mancini when it comes to Chucky is simply that I feel like he just, I've said it a million times, I'll keep saying it, demystifies Chucky. And he just continues to fucking do it. And so this, I'll just tell you guys in real time, my thought process at the time, this was it for me. I was done with Don Mancini and Chucky at this point. I did not watch a single episode of season 3. Had no desire to. And even still to this day, I really don't. I've heard people say, oh, it's actually, they improved a lot. Even Christian said that. He's like, I'm not going to lie to you. I actually dug season 3 quite a bit. And that's great. I'm happy for people like that, but it's like an abusive relationship, man. Like at some point I have to tell Don, no more. No more. I can't do it anymore. And season 2 was that moment for me where I was like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. So maybe this comes across as me being a dick, but whatever. I hope Don Mancini and Chucky are done. I hope him continuing the franchise in any way is done. I know he's talking about like, we're gonna do another straight to streaming or VOD movie and blah blah blah. I don't really know if he's going to be able to get the financing for it from any company, quite frankly, because I feel like he burned the bridges when it came to theaters with Seed. He burned the bridges when it came to video on demand with Cult. And then I think he burned the bridges when it came to television with the TV show. And guys, USA and Sci-Fi, they're not really popping channels anymore. They were 15 years ago. So if you're getting canceled from them, like clearly it's not profitable for them. And I really don't know if I see a scenario where another financier is going to come along and be like, yeah, we'll give you the money. I don't. So as bad as this might be to say, I hope this is the end for our friend with Don Mancini, at least.
Yeah, man.
So you're going to have to talk about season 3 because I haven't seen it.
So season 3 of Chucky, I think I never really got why people were giving it so much praise. I think it's the most boring. Like the setting of the White House is I guess a funny idea, but I just don't think it works that well. Old Chucky's pretty funny. But again, it's just I don't know, man. This is the one that has the least heart to me, and I'm not really interested in seeing where these characters go anymore after watching that season. And I get why the show got canceled, to be honest. And it is a shame because I do love the characters, but it's just Don Mancini, I don't really want to see his version of these characters anymore. I do think breathing new life and getting a new voice into this franchise would actually help it a lot. I don't know if we'll ever get it, but I just want movies as well. TV is just not where I want to see Chucky. Even if I didn't hate season 1 and 2, I want to see movies for this franchise. I don't watch TV as much. It's a dying media anyways. Season 3 isn't as bad as a Cult or Seed, but one of the biggest sins of movies and television is if they're boring, and I find it kind of boring. So I'd probably put it just a notch above Cult personally. But yeah, I am morbidly interested in seeing what even happens with this franchise from now on, now that it's been canceled, like you said, on everything. If anything does happen, we could be in another 10 plus year dark age of Chucky, but yeah.
Well, you bring up something interesting. You said I think it's essentially time for a new creative voice to kind of step up and take Chucky in a different direction, but I don't know if it'll happen. I would actually say it's bound to happen. You will not, even if Don Mancini somehow, he might crowdsource it, whatever. Even if he somehow gets to make that one movie that he wants to make, that'll probably be the end. I think that Chucky is an iconic horror character, so I don't think you're going to see the character die. But if season 3 wasn't the end for Don Mancini, whatever one thing he does next will be the end. I think we are bound very, very soon to see Chucky go in a completely different direction. And, sadly, guys, as much as I love him too, that means without Brad Dourif. And quite frankly, he's not going to be around for a hell of a lot longer. So it's just one of those things where you'd have to come to grips with that anyway.
Yeah.
But I think that we are destined to see this go in a different direction very soon. And I think it's what's best for the series. And I guess the question, and I'll probably put this in the thumbnail just to be a turd. Did Don Mancini ruin Chucky? And I guess I'll just go first and say yes. Yes, he ruined Chucky. He ruined Child's Play. And for every good thing he did one more bad thing, in my opinion. And even if you look at it just as simply as the character of Chucky, he ruined it because he took away the mystique. He took away what made Chucky so interesting. He took away what made Chucky so entertaining to the point where it was overboard. And it wasn't the same Chucky anymore. Like it wasn't the same thing. Like, even if you like the television show, can any of you sit here right now and tell me that a single season of that TV show is on par with the first 4 Child's Play movies? You can't. You can't. You're lying. And so, is it a little overreactionary to say that he ruined Child's Play? No, I don't think it is. I think he has. I think he's ruined it in another way. Simply just people just don't take it seriously anymore. It's a joke. No one watches. They can't put a movie in theaters, and they can't even get viewers on TV. I think in a lot of ways, yes, Don Mancini has ruined Child's Play. But what do you say?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. For a franchise to not have a film in a big horror franchise to not have a film for 9 years, and then for one of the biggest horror icons, as we were talking about, to go straight to fucking video and DVD, like, that's crazy. Like, he did some insane damage to the property. And yeah, man, I don't know, like, nobody wanted to see it go to TV, and then after that first season, nobody watched it. So I do think he has ruined this franchise, and I don't know if Chucky's ever going to bounce back. I think that original continuity is just fucked forever. Like, we're never going to see a theatrical film with that. The only chance I could ever see that is with, like, maybe Shudder and, like, a limited theatrical release, but, like, that's, like, about it. We're never going to get a big Chucky movie ever again, and it's Don's fault, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that there's a lot of people that have a lot of reverence for Don Mancini and what Don Mancini has done for the series, and I understand that. And I don't fault you for feeling that way or holding some of the things that he has done for the series near and dear to your heart. I totally get it. But for me, I just don't think the good outweighs the bad. I think it's the opposite. I think the bad outweighs the good. And I think that Don Mancini will live healthy and happily the rest of his life. He's made a lot of money, and good for him, because like I said, guys, this isn't a shit fest on Don Mancini. I think he has done good things for Child's Play, 100%. But I just don't think he knew when it was time to lay down the pen, man. I really don't think he knew. He didn't want to let it go. And I'm sorry, but how many creators, and again, I use that term loosely because he's not the original creator of Child's Play, but how many people like that see it out till the very end? Most of them don't, because they know when it's time to stop. I mean, shit, John Carpenter couldn't even get through writing Halloween 2. He couldn't even get through one sequel because, love or hate John Carpenter or those movies, he knew, I just don't have any more to say. There's no more that I can do, like, with this character of Michael Myers. So I think Don, he should have had that realization at some point. And I honestly think it's ego. I really do. I think it's his own hubris. Like I said, I don't think he wanted to let it go. And we all paid a price for that, because when we did get a remake of it that was solid, nobody cared, because nobody cares about Chucky anymore. And the largest reason for that is Don Mancini. So love me, hate me for saying that, argue the point. Like, effectively argue that the quality of the series didn't dip with Don Mancini, and that is somehow not the reason that Chucky is no longer a hot commodity. I'd love to see someone try to twist himself into a pretzel and argue, but I think it's pretty cut and dry, Jaden.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. So let's move on to ranking. Yeah, let's rank this bitch. So
you go
do you
first.
want to go?
You go first because I got to think about this for a second.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So if I'm going at the bottom, I think we're both gonna agree. My bottom is Seed of Chucky. You know,
Ooh.
it's
Seed
I already
bottoms for
said
you?
it does.
You get seeds
It's,
in your bottom?
Dude. All the time. No, man, it's just the worst, man. This is a Halloween resurrection of this franchise. It's a fucking turd burger. It's always been one. It never will not be one, no matter what people on the internet say. And we've been talking about the decline of Chucky, and this started it, so I'll always hate it for that. If this was a fucking masterpiece, like if it led to all the bullshit after, like I would still hate it because I'm like, this is one of my favorite things that you fucking ruined. So yeah, Seed of Chucky's at the bottom. Do you want to go one by one, or do you want to like do whole rankings?
You do your whole one.
Okay. All right, cool. Next up, I'm gonna do Cult of Chucky. I'd say it's like a 2.5 for me. Like it's a very okay movie. It has a lot of the bad things of Seed, but I think it does a lot more good than that movie does. I also like Kyle being back, like at the end. Like I think that was cool. We didn't even mention that with Curse, but like I shat my pants when Andy was back in that fucking post-credit scene. Like I was so excited. Same with Kyle. I was super excited. But yeah, Cult is just kind of fun. And I think that with the next thing too, which is Chucky season 3. Again, just okay. It's a little bit more boring, but I think it's more high quality than Cult of Chucky. I think the TV show in general looks better than, even if Curse is better, like quality wise in terms of like what's in the movie, the show looks better just to look at visually. And, you know, that means a little bit more to me. Like I think the doll looks better. But up next, I would probably put Chucky season 1. I think it's fairly safe. Like we said, the kids aren't at their best in that first season. It has some good stuff. Chucky saying gender fluid is great. It's all right. I think it was a good first season. After that, I would probably say Chucky season 2 right after. I did like it, but I don't think it's on par with really any of the films, not counting the 2 shitters. Like there's some fun episodes, the Christmas episode, the Jennifer Tilly episode, those are cool. But the show in general just doesn't touch the quality of the films. Up next, I think I'd put the remake up next. Like that went up from like a 3 to like a 3.5 on this last rewatch. And it's got a lot of good elements, but it's not amazing. Like it's just a solid horror movie and a solid retelling of the story with different like modern age lens. But I just don't think it touches, you know, Curse of Chucky, which is the next one. And even though this one looks a lot worse in terms of like just film quality, I think the story's better. Having the actual Chucky there in that original canon with the voodoo and all the weird shit, that's better. Fiona Dourif is great. I think it's the best thing that Don Mancini's done since 1998. Like after that, and that's like another 3.5, I'd say for me. It's, you know, I don't love it as much as you do, but it's pretty good. After that, I'd probably do. It's either. I'm gonna do Bride of Chucky. So, Bride, I'd say, is probably a 4 for me. I do love Bride. You know, for all the reasons we said, I think it's, you know, a really good post-Scream slasher, and bringing Chucky into that sphere was pretty cool. I just don't have the nostalgia for it that I do for Child's Play 3, which is my 3rd favorite. Child's Play 3 I've always loved. I think I prefer Chucky serious, even if the movie maybe is not like objectively as good as Bride. I like seeing him do that instead of being the weird like stitch up Chucky and cracking jokes at every second. Um, and then after that, I would do the original, which 5-star film for me. I mean, one of my favorite horror films of all time. And then after that, Child's Play 2, which I think is just as good as the original. It just has a lot of elements that are better. But yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna group the TV show as one, by the way, because the placement wouldn't change for me. So
Fair.
my least favorite is Seed of Chucky. I don't feel like reopening old wounds. You guys know I don't like it. My goal isn't to piss people off that like it. So that's my least favorite. Right after that would be Cult. Again, there's a few cool moments and a few funny moments, but largely I think it's just cringe. And if anything, it just again completely demystifies Chucky to the point of like, well, what are we even doing anymore? Then it would be the TV series. Again, I'm just not a huge fan. I don't know what else to say. Those three right there are pretty much the bottom of the barrel. That's 8, right? Yeah, so they'd be top
Mhm.
5. So at number 5 would be Child's Play 3. And this is when, everything from here on I like. I like Child's Play 3 a lot. Probably the one I watched the most on TV when I was a kid. Also, shout out to Spitz from Halloween 5. He's in this movie as well. It's solid. It's a fun time. And even if it was just those highlights I talked about when we were talking about Child's Play 3, that's enough for me to be like, yeah, this gets a pass from me. Coming in at 4, no, that would have been 6, right? You still got 1, 2, Bride, remake. Or no, is that it?
And then Curse. Right, those are the
And
5 left.
Curse, yeah. So that would have been 6 actually. At 5, I'm gonna go. This is like right in the middle of the series, the remake. I think that the remake is a really solid starting off point, and we should have jumped off from this point and started a new continuity, and we didn't. So shout out to all you fuckers that cried on Twitter. Really appreciate it. But Child's Play 2019 is solid, and that's where the franchise should have gone moving forward. Then at number 4 is going to be Bride of Chucky. Bride of Chucky, again, very fond memories. I think this movie, a little too jokey at times, but almost perfectly walks the line. And I think this is Jennifer Tilly's best performance in the series. I love it. It's the most organic for the character Tiffany, too. Like, it works. 3 is Curse of Chucky. Never thought in a million years that this straight-to-video movie after the abomination that was Seed would be as good as it was, but here we are, and I have it at number 3. I think the movie absolutely is just killer. Love the fact that it's this big almost like this haunted manor, very desolate setting. I dig the hell out of it, everything about it. And then at 2 is the original Child's Play, and at 1 is Child's Play 2. And I got to tell you guys, Child's Play 2 is my second favorite horror movie of the 90s. The only movie that beats it is Candyman. And that's just and I love Candyman. Candyman is probably top 10 horror movie all time for me. Like so that's high friggin' praise. So I don't think they're ever going to clear Child's Play 2 in this series. I don't think they're ever going to make a movie that is that good. But that's number 1 for me. And then in the grand scheme of things, just looking forward at Chucky, you guys heard me say it. I think moving forward, we need a new voice and we need a new direction. And love you, Brad. But I think if Don can give us one more movie to end this continuity, to be Brad's swan song and everything like that, I'd be okay with it. But if he has plans to continue it for years, just don't do it. I just think it's time. I think it's time to, as my good friend Kylo Ren said, let the past die, bury it if you have to, or kill it if you have to. I think it's time for Child's Play, or at least in Don Mancini's hands, it's time. So it's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, man. it's kind of weird because we already got a remake, so I don't know what a reboot would even be. I don't know who would do it, what if they would do the voodoo, if they would do the AI shit now that Megan's a thing. Chucky's going to be in a weird spot for a long time, but I do agree. I hope if he is doing one more thing, I hope we get one more Brad Dourif performance, because if his last performance is like a final episode of season 3 that got like 12 views, you know, that's going to be kind of sad. It would be cool to see him in one more movie before he passes. But that's Chucky, guys. I think overall, it's such a 50-50 franchise. You know, like
I'd say it's 60-40. I'd give it 60-40.
That's fair. I just like, man, it never really came back fully after Bride for me.
There are peaks with this one, and there are some motherfucking valleys, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think it has way lower lows than a lot of horror franchises, like even fucking Hellraiser, to be honest with you. And most of that is direct to DVD, but that's better than some of the shit we got for Chucky.
Shut the fuck up about Hellraiser.
But yeah, let us know what you guys think. Tell us your favorites, your least favorites of the Chucky films. I am curious to see, you know, we get this reappraisal for Seed. I wonder how people feel about Cult. I wonder how people feel
you
about
can reappraise my Seed. I'm gonna, and then I'm gonna say this to you guys right now. Next week's episode, we're gonna record it next weekend. That way we can both see Heart Eyes beforehand, because it's gonna be a Valentine's Day horror themed episode that will be releasing the week of Valentine's Day. So that's great. And then I want you guys to let us know in the comments so I can hold Jaden's feet to the fucking fire here. Hellraiser. Do you guys want to see us cover Hellraiser after the Valentine's Day episode? I want to do it. Y'all know I love that series. I adore that series. I've actually been rewatching the movies over the last couple days. I just rewatched 3, 4, Deader, Hellworld, and the first 2. So, you know, the ones that don't entirely suck. Have no interest to revisit Revelations. We'll never watch that movie again. I'm going to watch Judgment again. I'm definitely going to watch that again beforehand. I already watched the remake at the end of last year again. So, yeah, anyway, I want to know down below. You guys tell us, hey, Hellraiser after Valentine's Day? Is that what you want? Because if it's what you want, baby, you going to get it. Jaden, you got anything else before we let these people out? We've talked a lot about seeds tonight, so people are probably raring to go with the lotion and the tissues. So,
yeah, man. I just want to give a quick update. I want to start working on social media channels for the podcast. Twitter, X, Instagram, you know, stuff like that. I'm going to attempt with TikTok. I'm not super used to the platform, but I feel like it's good to try to get in while it's hot.
And I'm going to let you guys know, if this ends up happening, it will be Jaden you're talking to, because I already don't do a good enough job keeping up with my own Instagram. So Jaden kindly said, hey, I want to do this and I'll take care of it. Don't worry. Because I was about to be like, dude, I can't. I don't have the attention span or the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally fair. Yeah, you know, I think it'd be cool to interact with the audience. And we could post, you know, updates and a bunch of bullshit and things related to that episode. Nudes, yeah, especially Nick's. You should see his ass. But
I got a Hank Hill ass, bro. What are you talking? Anyway.
Oh, but yeah, that's it.
Hold on. I mean, all right. You know, oh my God, if I'm gonna say it, I might as well.
I'm about to bust.
I think that's it for us this week. We hope to see you next week.
If we don't, your mother's a hoe. Maybe she might not be, but she might be. Mine is. So, and my mom's never going to listen to this, so whatever. But I still love you, Mom. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Leave a like, helps in the algorithm. Comment down below, join the discussion, helps in the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel, obviously helps in the algorithm. And furthermore, I just want to give a shout out and thank everybody for getting me over 7K. And now we're chugging along because I did that Scream video today, and it's kind of popping off. So I'm getting more subs, and I'm sure there's already over 100 comments on that video. So I don't even know if I want to get into that war zone. But regardless, shout out to everybody. I appreciate that. My goal this year is to get to 10K. I got 3,000 last year. So even if I go at the pace I did last year, I should be able to break 10K this year. But that's the hope. That's the goal. So appreciate you all. And if you fly, just be careful. Should be crazy right now. So
Yeah.
love y'all. We'll see y'all next week. And we're going to send this over to Alex Jones to send us out.
Seen goblins, appreciating goblins, succubus with goblins.
And we don't want no problems. Okay, you're a goon with a goon.
All right. Yeah.